There's one thing we have to talk about, and it's that we are in the service business. When I started out, I was a bartender. Now, somewhere along the line, I became a mixologist, and I'm not sure exactly when that happened, but it's cool. It's opened a lot of doors for me, and it's opened a lot of doors for a lot of us in this business. It's changed the whole idea of what we're doing. What's cool is that the respect has come back. Now, we all know that the bartender used to be the center of the town, the inn, the saloon. That's where people gathered, and the bartender was the one who mediated all those arguments and had the conversations with everybody about everything. He was the center. And that respect has started to return to a point where we have something going here at the bar. And this is great. But we have to remember where it all starts. It's the service business. People come out, they could buy a six-pack or make a cocktail at their house and sit and watch TV, but they don't. They come to our bars because they want the experience. They want to feel it. They want to be part of it. And that's our job. That's our only job. Everything else we do is window dressing. It's important to be a great mixologist. It's important to make a great drink. But if at the end of the day someone comes to your bar and has a bad time, it doesn't matter if they drank the perfect martini. They had a bad time. We have to keep an eye on that. As we evolve and as this whole concept of developing what we do becomes this movement, which it's already become, we have to keep an eye on the customer because they're the ones that this is all about. People that I work with, Steve Olson, Doug Frost, Dale DeGroff, these are the people who have kind of guided our business and been huge mentors for me. And one of the things that all of those guys have in common is they've kept the pretense out. That's been their mission, making sure that this is all accessible to everybody. And there's a little bit of a movement that you see in some places that kind of just goes against that grain, where the cocktail becomes important or the cocktail bar becomes the thing. And it stops being about the guest for a minute. And we got to stop that right now. We have to make sure that moving forward, we learn this and do this all the right way because there's only one way and it's about the guests. Make them happy. Make them the best drink. Blow their minds, but make them happy. It's the service business. It's the hospitality business. Most of us got into this business because we like people. We like making people happy. And we got to feed on that and make that what we do and make that the core of what this is all about. Because if you do, you're going to have them blown away over and over again. You're going to create customers and friends and guests that'll keep coming back to you because they get something from your bar that they don't get from the guy next door. And that's the magic. It's the passion. It's the passion that we feel, and it's the passion that drives this business, and that's what people want. If you can focus on that, keep the energy on just doing it the right way, you will have succeeded in this business because you will have a successful bar or establishment, you'll make more tips, but mostly you'll succeed because you're making people happy. Everything that we've learned up until now is about getting to this point, being able to do it all the best way possible, better than anybody else. But take that final step. Make sure that it's all about the guests and making them happy. And when you do that, everybody wins.
Recipes, for the most part, are starting points. I mean, with the exception of maybe a few written in stone 2-to-1 Manhattans with a dash of bitters. We're not going to mess around with that too much. But what about a margarita? I know for a fact that at the Rainbow Room, Sharon and Carl did not have their margarita the same way, and I had to learn how to make Carl and Sharon's margarita. I got to tell you that there could be 5 people at the bar drinking a margarita in a different way. These are beginnings. Bartenders argue online all the time about a 1/4 of an ounce, an 1/8 of an ounce of this. Guys, don't get too wrapped up in this stuff. What you're trying to do is make drinks that have the correct ingredients in them. We don't want to be dropping ingredients. And you're trying to make drinks that taste good to that guy across the bar. And that may not be the same thing that tastes good to this woman across the bar over here, even though it's the same drink. So think about these recipes when you're making them and craft them to the people you're making them for. I ask questions sometimes when I see a person order a drink that I think they may not be too familiar with. I'll say, you know that this drink has a little bit of anise in it. Oh, that's okay, I want to try it. You know, cool, let's do it. Think about the customer when you make the drink. When a expediter in the kitchen or a chef looks at a dish as it goes from the line out the door, the thing he's looking for Are the elements on that dish? Are they right? Are they fresh? Is this grated on top? Is the piece of parsley there? Is the mint on that plate? You as a bartender, watch those waiters at the service station. When your drinks go out, it's your drink. Is that garnish right? In many places, the waiter garnishes the drink, and it's up to you to make sure that the garnish goes out properly. It's also up to you to make sure that your limes don't have little brown edges around them. And it's also your responsibility to make sure that those garnishes are ultra fresh. I mean, what about a lime that comes to my table and you look down at that lime and there's a brown edge all the way around, because we all know limes oxidize and don't last till the next day. If you cut too many, you got to throw them out, or you got to mash them up in a caipirinha where you can't see it anyway and nobody cares. But you've got to keep an eye on that garnish. And you know, garnish should be ultra fresh and generous. For example, when you're cutting wedges of lemon and lime, when you get to that, stop. That's a beautiful little boat that's going to look real good in your drink. But if you got one of these bartenders that goes this far, what is this? That's not generous. I don't want that in my drink. I want to see it. And you know, there's nothing wrong. We accept the fact in the United States that you can squeeze a lemon or a lime into a drink. That is an established, I mean, in Europe they use the white gloves. Over here, we hope that the bartender is exercising some personal hygiene. I think you should be washing your hands every time you touch money, every time you touch a bottle that you think is dirty or dusty. You need to be washing your hands many times an hour, many times every 5 minutes, maybe. So personal hygiene, why? Because your hands are right here and the guest is right there. You're in front of them all the time. Bartenders, don't laugh, fellas. Bartenders need to have their nails done. I'm sorry, but I did it when I was a bartender for 30 years. Because your hands are right in front of the guest all the time. This is a wedge. That's what it should look like. What about when you want to do the famous flamed peel from the Rainbow Room? Why would you waste your time? You're saying to yourself, yeah, pal, I really have time to do that. Well, when I first introduced this to Joe and I flamed that first orange peel over a Cosmopolitan, and Joe said, I like it. I want to do it with all the peels from now on. And the other bartenders at the bar were like, you know something? That single bit of business, that single flaming of a peel over the top of the drink, and what am I doing after all? I'm taking the oil that's in the skin, oil that burns like any oil, I'm coating the drink or seasoning the glass with it, creating orange oil in the whole bar. You're in a darkened bar here. This person ordered the Cosmo, you went ahead and you flamed that beautiful peel into the drink, and the lady sitting next to that guy says, excuse me, sir, I don't mean to butt in, but I saw the bartender do something. What's that drink you ordered? And he says, well, I'm not sure. I ordered a Cosmopolitan, and then the bartender did this. And I'm not sure. Bartender, could you show me? And I'm going to show the lady the little technique on her hand, maybe, so she can smell the oil, you know. And then some guy down the bar over here, he's like, bartender, what was that? There's a whole sensation. It's a dark bar. Every time you do it, it's a big flash. It creates a sensation. What have you done? You garnished one single drink. You got two strangers talking to one another. You sold one down here. You sold one down there. What else can you do as a bartender? Why wouldn't you do this all the time? Believe me, we did. This can become your franchise. A simple little bit of business like this. So you've read about it online, this culinary cocktail, and you may even had conversations with the boss about fresh juices behind your bar, which, by the way, is not an easy step. It's a complicated step that requires discussions with the purchasing guy, discussions with the guy who squeezes the fruit. Are you ordering the right fruit? How do you store it? Do you put it in the refrigerator? Should it be warm when you squeeze it? All these issues that are really important. But you've been through all this, and you want to do the culinary cocktails at your bar. How do you get the other guys into this? I mean, not everybody is as passionate as you are. And where are you going to go with it? How do you get the customers involved in this whole idea of the culinary cocktail? You know, I used to get a kick out of bartenders when I taught who said to me, you know, I just can't move this drink. And it doesn't move. It doesn't move. My answer to them was always, hey, pal, you're the mover. You're the sales guy. You get hired to do two really important things: make great drinks, sell what's on the menu, and one other really important thing, make friends out of difficult people. That's what you do. That's what you're hired for. If you're the go-to guy when a customer walks, oh, let's go over there, so-and-so's on today, great. Why are they doing that? Because he's the guy who's got the passion and wants to do it. And I think when the other bartender sees that, he's going to be like, geez, maybe this guy's can you show me how you did that thing with the orange peel? Or can you show me that drink? I've never made that before. And you're going to get the other guys in because they're going to see the reaction to you. Believe me, the clientele is out there for this kind of cocktail. This is what is in demand now. And if your bar's not doing it, the guy next door is. And you got to keep up, or you're going to be left behind. You got to go fresh. You got to have real ingredients. You got to know your recipes, and you got to really be into this stuff. Hey, listen, if this is not for you, if you don't get along with people that well or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has to be out here. You can work in the kitchen. You could do anything. But if you are out here, do it really, really well, or what's the point? In this series, Andy has talked a lot about organizational skills behind the bar, setting yourself up, all those really, really important things. There are other steps of service, if you want to call them that, for a bartender that are really important when you take an order, when you fill an order, and when you move about that bar. You never move to a spot unless you do a job. You should be doing two jobs with every move you make. Because remember, you're making complicated orders of drinks, you're holding conversations with different people up and down the bar, you're multitasking all the time. Important things. If you happen to be in a state where smoking is allowed, you never let more than one cigarette butt accumulate in that ashtray. So if you're walking over there to pick up a glass, you pick that up at the same time. If you're walking over here to clean the station, you get the 3 glasses that are over there at the same time. Every single move has to be designed to do a job. When you make a drink for a customer, you make it in front of them whenever it's possible, if it's not 7 deep. People want to see that. That's a tradition in the bar business. You make the drink in front of them. Stirring. When you stir the proper amount, or why bother? If you're shaking, shake it good and hard. The harder you shake it, the better it's going to taste. Each thing you do, each little step of service is really, really important and says something about your skill and your grace as a bartender. You know, there's much more about service in your workbook. I just wanted to point that out to you and point out probably the most important thing of all. We can all teach ourselves to make really great drinks. We can be fast. We can be all those kinds of things. But I don't mean that that the drink is not important, because it's critically important that the drink tastes good, that it be accurate. That's really important. But what's much more important than that is the connection that you make across the bar to that person, because this is a public space and you are creating the ambiance in this space. So that part of your job is so much more important than anything else, because if you can't keep the seats full, and the only way you can do that is setting that tone, is the way you treat people. If you can't keep the seats full, it doesn't matter if you can make a good drink or not.